So last night, Donald Trump came out and gave his speech, and when he did, he gave Maga a great big nothing burger, and they ate it up and flexed and clapped and thought that they really won something. He talked about how that English is now the official language of the United States, and that does nothing to give them cheaper eggs. He made the claim that there's only two genders, and that doesn't do anything to give them cheaper eggs. He talked about how that he brought back free speech, but free speech actually never went away. It's always been here. I don't know why he said that, but that claim is not going to make anyone's grocery bill any lower. He just sat there and repeated the same stuff that he said on the campaign trail, and because MAGA lives in an alternate universe, then they just believed it. And I was telling a buddy of mine about that, and I was giving my take on it when he said to me, man, that's exactly what Bernie Sanders was saying about it. And no matter how you feel about Bernie Sanders, that is a guy who has been out there fighting his entire career and standing up for what he believes and standing on the same principles his entire career. So I have a lot of respect for the guy. And here he is, just nailing last night's speech. Take a look.
Tonight, President Trump has been very effective in creating what I would call a parallel universe for his supporters. A set of ideas that either have no basis in reality or in the great scheme of things are nowhere near the most important concerns of the American people. And one way that he does that is through the concept of the big lie, and boy, did we hear that tonight. You say something that is grossly false, say it over and over again, and have right-wing social media blast it out endless times until people actually believe it.
You know, cult leader Jim Jones created Jonestown, and he took his followers there where they could live in an alternate reality, and that's exactly what Donald Trump did, because he just comes out and, like Bernie said, he just continues to repeat the same lie over and over and over until they believe it. And it's very hard to move the conversation forward, and it's very hard to make any progress when you have people who do live in an alternate reality. And nothing you say is ever going to get through to them because they've already been pre-programmed to not believe anything that you say. And in order to follow Donald Trump, you have to believe that every scientist is lying to you. You have to believe that every doctor is lying to you. You have to believe that everyone else in any form of government is lying to you. You have to believe that everyone who opposes him, who, by the way, is your fellow Americans, you have to believe that they're all lying to you. You have to believe that everyone else is making all of this up and that he is the only person telling you the truth, because the minute anyone steps out of line with him, he brings the hammer down on them and he throws them to the curb once he doesn't no longer need them. We've talked a lot about that here on the channel. Once Donald Trump doesn't need someone, he throws them to the curb. We saw him do that with West Virginia when he waited 10 days before he ever even responded to the governor who was saying, hey, my state's underwater, we need help. We thought you loved us when you could come down here and cosplay as a coal miner. But again, he lives in an alternate reality. And that's the thing. He created this alternate reality for his followers, but he himself lives in it because he's never lived in the real world like the rest of us. Donald Trump has never faced the struggles that we faced, and he doesn't understand what actually makes this country great, because all he ever thinks about or is concerned about is money and power and being rich. And he always talks about how rich America's going to be. And everything to him is a business deal. And so we look over at Ukraine and we see that and we go, hey, Russia just invaded a sovereign nation and they're our ally. We should throw our support behind them and make sure no one ever fucks with them again. But Donald Trump sees a business deal to be made. And so it's got nothing even in his mind to do with democracy. He's not thinking about that at all. He's thinking about what kind of deal can I make? How much money can I make? He is not based in reality himself. So he just took all of his followers to that little compound where they all live together. And as long as he sits and repeats the lies over and over again, they'll believe it. And you know, one moment that I do want to focus on and talk about for a minute was Al Green was removed. And Mike Johnson stood up and, said that he was breaking decorum. And they had him escorted out. And that just goes to show you the glaring hypocrisy of MAGA, because how many times did we see Joe Biden give a speech, and how many times did we see Marjorie Taylor Greene absolutely heckle the hell out of him, and Lauren Boebert? They stood up and they heckled and they booed, and everyone was like, hey, that's okay, no problem. But when Al Green stood up, he was escorted out. Now, later, he was asked about that, and he gave a response that you would never hear Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert give, because, yeah, he said he would accept responsibility and whatever punishment comes his way. Take a look.
The president said he had a mandate, and I was making it clear to the president that he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. I have people who are very fearful. These are poor people, and they have only Medicaid in their lives when it comes to their health care. And I want him to know that his budget calls for deep cuts in Medicaid. He needs to save Medicaid, protect it. We need to raise the cap on Social Security. There's a possibility that it's going to be hurt, and we've got to protect Medicare. These are the safety net programs that people in my congressional district depend on. And this president seems to care less about them and more about the number of people that he can remove from the various programs that have been so helpful to so many people. It is the best way to get it across to a person who uses his incivility against our civility. He is a person who has consistently been used incivility against civility.
So do you think it was a mandate? Is that what you said?
Well, look, I'm willing to suffer whatever punishment is available to me. I didn't say to anyone, don't punish me. I've said I'll accept the punishment, but it's worth it to let people know that there are some of us who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security.
You know, folks, I got to be honest with you. I think that every Democrat should have just got up and walked out with Al Green. I think everyone should have just got up single file and walked out and left Trump sitting there talking to his cult by himself, because the Republicans do not respect the Democrats at all. I mean, they don't give a damn what we think or what we believe. They completely have disrespected us every single step of the way. Why show them any level of respect? Just get up and walk the hell out. It's not like they could possibly think of you any worse than they already do. I mean, Al Green was talking about the issues that actually matter. He was talking about things that are actually going to affect people. And he said something right there that I've never, ever heard anyone in MAGA utter, which is, I will take full responsibility and I will take whatever punishment you throw my way. Marjorie Taylor Greene could have stood up and just threw a baseball and hit Joe Biden with it. And if she had faced any punishment for that, Republicans would have said, oh, that's the weaponization of government. She's the victim in the story. She's a patriot. So I really, in all trueness, I don't think that any Democrat should have even showed up. Just don't even go. Like, don't even sit there and entertain this bullshit, because that's all that it is bullshit. And it should be called out as such. Go somewhere else. And, you know, every one of them, you know, get online, sit down and talk with people like us. We'll all go live at the same time that he's talking. I'll interview whoever you send my way. Just send one over. Just don't sit down in that chair and listen to that shit. Come over here. I'll talk to whoever. We'll all talk to somebody, and we'll completely ignore it. We did that during the inauguration. I sat here and played music that I wrote. Midas Touch showed pictures of their puppies and their kittens, and we pull viewers away from it because no one cares. And so I really don't think this is a president that should be respected, and I don't think Democrats should go and sit there and be insulted, because what they were saying to you when they escorted Al Green out, it wasn't just that they didn't give a damn about Al Green. They don't give a damn about you either. They was willing to let Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and any other Republican heckle Joe Biden all day long, and that was the weaponization of government, if we call that out. So they don't respect you. Trump don't respect you. So why show him any? I think that every one of them should have just got out and walked out right behind him, because he was actually standing up for the issues that matter. But as we go forward, it's going to be harder and harder to have these conversations when you have people that lives in an alternate reality. But eventually, that alternate reality has to catch up to them. And when it does, and when they're actually affected by it, they'll probably find a way to blame it on us and find a way to blame it on the Democrats. But hopefully there will be enough reasonable people who will get tired of this and want to see it turn around and will work to turn it around. So I thank everyone for subscribing here on the channel. I'll be honest with you, the news is happening so fast and stories are breaking so fast, and I'm trying to travel and go to protests and let my voice be heard and hear other people and hear their stories and talk about the issues that are really important. So I'm going to be brutally honest. I may miss some stories because they're coming so fast. And there's been times that me and Coach D talked about this. We've made videos, set them to come out, and by the time it made it, the story had already had more layers added to it. So we're all doing our best here to continue to report on things and talk about things and make sense of things, and that's a challenge. And so we really appreciate everyone who supports what we do, and thank you for listening. It's a challenge to do it, but I've said many times, it's the hill I'm willing to die on, and so here we go. I'm going to go out there and continue to put in the work and fight the good fight, and hopefully eventually, when it hurts enough people, they'll start to turn back around.